Chapter 794. The markings on the pendant were very special, and one could recognize at a glance. Luo Ling's expression was very ugly as he asked, "Dare to ask your highness, Prince Rui, where did the pendant on your waist come from?" Shinshio looked at Luo Ling with some surprise. Luo Ling was a person who had a sense of propriety and was usually very calm outside, but to ask Prince Rui so rashly, it was somewhat abrupt. For Prince Rui to greet you, it meant that Prince Rui was in a good mood, and it was your honor. If you take the initiative to greet Prince Rui, it would depend on whether the other party was willing to pay attention to you or not. One did not think that Prince Rui would give face today. He removed the safety pendant from his waist and played with it before smiling lazily. "This? A girl gave it to me." Shinshio. Prince Rui had spoken too much today. Why did these romantic affairs have to be brought up in front of two people they had never met before? Shinshio was very embarrassed. There were some things that the more one knew, the earlier one would die. He did not have any interest in Prince Rui's private matters. So why did Luo Ling ask about such trivial matters? Luo Ling's face became paler and paler as he stared uncontrollably at the pendant of fortune in Prince Rui's hands. But Prince Rui only glanced at him and casually hung the safety pendant on his waist. He said to Shun Xiao, "This prince still have matters and will not speak much with General Shun. If General Shun is free in the future, one can come over to Prince Rui's residence for a visit." He said with a smile that was not a smile. This prince would like to exchange pointers with General Shun. Finished speaking, he pulled on the reins and the horse galloped away, leaving Shun Xiao and his companion standing dumbfounded on the spot. Shun Xiao muttered, "Could it be that this Prince Rui wants to rope me in?" Everything was fine, so why would Prince Rui let him go to the residence of Prince Rui? Shun Xiao dared to say that Prince Rui did not say this to the princes of Mingqi, even though his martial arts was indeed outstanding, and Prince Rui might have taken a liking to his martial arts at first glance. Shinshio was feeling pleased with himself when he suddenly saw Luo Ling's abnormal expression. Finding it a little weird, he asked, "Cousin, what's wrong? Not feeling well? Why you look so pale?" Luo Ling recovered to his senses and forced a smile. "Nothing much. Let's go back." "All right." Shinshio looked again at the end of the street where Prince Rui disappeared and said, "It seems that Prince Rui is quite fond of that young lady, to actually hang the love token on his waist. One do not know which young lady had such an honor. One feared that she would laugh even in her dreams." Shinshio's heart was carefree, but he did not discover that on the way back, Luo Ling's steps were staggering. It was as if he had suffered a heavy blow. Sure enough, as everyone expected, Huang Fu Hao's assassination in Mingqi had implicated many troubles. Although the people on the Crown Prince's side had been seeking justice for the Crown Prince, the Ministry of Justice had not taken any action. It was as if they wanted to lock the Crown Prince up forever. Emperor Wen Hui's action also made the courtiers to have a new look at him. Once the Crown Prince was imprisoned, some people saw that the situation was not right and turned around to join other princes. The structure of the imperial court changed once again. This is a story for another time, so let's not talk about it. The wind was cold at night, so Luo Tan and Luo Shuayan went out to buy clothes for the new year. Luo Shuayan said that both of them were big young ladies and a few more sets of clothes had to be made, so they almost shopped all over the Ding capital. When they returned to the residence, even though Shan Miao was tired from carrying it, she also felt a little tired. Jingzhe and Guyu went to prepare the water, and when Shan Miao came out from her bath, she saw that there was one more person in the room. When Xie Jingxing turned back, he saw Shan Miao wearing a middle garment and one hand holding a handkerchief to twist her wet hair. The current young female was different from 2 years ago. Even though her stature was still petite, she was like a budding flower, green and fragrant. The middle garment was slightly wet, and it seemed that one could see the slim figure through the outside. Under the flickering light, her red lips and white teeth could be seen, and her eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of mist. Her hair was black and wet and stuck to her cheeks. The lower it was, the more one could see the faintly discernible whiteness. Chapter 795. Xie Jingxing looked away, and before Shin Miao could react, she saw a thick cloak thrown towards her, almost causing her to stumble. After hugging the cloak tightly, Shun Miao angrily said, "What are you doing? Wear it." Xie Jingxing frowned. "No one will care if one catches a cold." Shun Miao was exasperated. This person could always say good words to make others hate him, but she did feel a little cold, so she covered the cloak again. Xie Jingxing then turned his head and swept a glance at her. Seeing that Shun Miao did not seem to care that there was a male in the room and was still calmly twisting her hair, his lips could not help but twitch. One could not blame Shun Miao for not having such thoughts. In her previous lifetime, she admired Fu Xiu, but from the beginning to the end, it was only wishful thinking and there was no mutual affection between the two. When Fu Xiu was acting with her, it was at most gratitude and respect. As for those scenes that made one blush and heartbeat, there was none. Afterwards, she became the Empress, and the most she did every day was to face the 3,000 charming beauties in the palace, and the most she saw were eunuchs. Thus she did not feel that there was anything wrong with her current appearance. She walked over and sat down as she twisted her hair. Seeing Xie Jingxing sizing her up thoughtfully, she did not know why her face turned hot and asked, "What are you looking at?" "One thought that you would not be shy." Xie Jingxing lazily said, "Still all right." Finally relieved. Shun Miao was baffled. Xie Jingxing propped his chin up and sized her up before asking, "Why are you looking for me?" Today it was Shun Miao who let Song Yang think of a way to call Xie Jingxing over. Anyway, there was a messenger in the room, so it would be a waste not to use it. But Song Yang was really useful. Did not Xie Jingxing come over now? Shun Miao stopped twisting her hair and hesitated for a moment before asking. "Gentleman, Pei did not reply to me for a long time. Help me inquire about the residence of Prince Ding. Did something happen to Gentleman Pei?" When Shun Miao said the 3 words Gentleman Pei, she was still somewhat hesitant. She did not take the initiative to tell Xie Jingxing about Pei Lang's matters, but with Xie Jingxing's methods, one feared that he had long grasped the relationship between Pei Lang and her. In the past, Pei Lang would send her letters every 3 to 5 days, passing on some matters of the residence of Prince Ding, but these days there were no letters. Shun Miao guessed that something had happened. If there was no Xie Jingxing, she would directly go to the Fengxian pawn shop. Since there was Xie Jingxing and Jiu Shu and Xie Jingxing were together, she would directly entrust it to Xie Jingxing. Hearing this, Xie Jingxing's eyes paused for a moment and looked at her meaningfully. "Pei Lang?" He lightly said, "You are very concerned about him." Shun Miao frowned. "I am not a person who Pei Lang." Even if she was dissatisfied with Pei Lang in her previous life, in this life, Pei Lang was still on her side. She couldn't do something like betraying him. Xie Jingxing nodded casually. "Okay, I'll help you find out." Shun Miao, why did she feel that Xie Jingxing was just casually brushing her off? Xing over and said, Xie. Shun no. Shun Xing, Shun Xing Shun, Shun the Xing. Xie Xing said Xie. Xing Shun. Shun Miao was surprised for a moment. What? The Qin Emperor had already given the old emperor a final threat. If the crown prince is not dealt with to avenge Huang Fu Hao, the emperor will send troops to attack Ming Qi. Xie Jingxing stared at the tea leaves floating in the teacup, and one could not hear any joy or anger in his tone. At this juncture, the old emperor dare not take risks. Shun Miao said, "Already given the final threat, no wonder, but..." She raised her head and looked at Xie Jingxing. For these words to be said so quickly, one think that the Qin Emperor did not investigate the cause of it. Is he determined to make the crown prince a scapegoat? Why? Could it be that he does not want to catch the real murderer of his son? In Shun Miao's thoughts, even though she had already guessed this result, she did not expect it to come so quickly. After all, the death of a person was not a small matter. No matter what the Qin Emperor would investigate, an Emperor Wen Hui and the other party would be in a deadlock for a period of time. Chapter 796. Xie Jingxing smiled, naive. Shun Miao. It had been a long time since someone called her naive. One heard Xie Jingxing said, The imperial family only cares about the result, and what the truth is not important, as it is impossible for Huangfu how to come back from the dead. He played with the teacup in his hand and said, "The Qin kingdom lost a crown prince and a princess, but the Qin kingdom might have other suitable princes. It's just that the Qin kingdom's politics must be very messy because of this. Since the Qin country is wary of Ming Qi, naturally Ming Qi must pay the same price. No matter if the crown prince is a murderer or not, the crown prince must die." The smile on Xie Jingxing's lips was cold. Only with the crown prince's death would Ming Qi and Qin country be considered even. Shun Miao sucked in a breath of cold air. Xie Jingxing's words were indeed ruthless, but it also tore open the bright cloth covering the surface. Ming Qi and the Qin country were originally evenly matched in terms of national power, and now that the Qin country had lost a crown prince, one feared that the princes fighting for the throne would cause chaos in the court. If Ming Qi was fine, it would make people angry. No matter what, the first reaction of a person in a quagmire was not to think of a way to climb out, but to pull the person next to him and slide in together. The so-called alliance that shared weal and woe was nothing more than this. They were bound together by benefits and calculated carefully based on benefits. One feared that Emperor Wenhui had already seen this point clearly, so very soon the crown prince would become the counterweight to balance this unfairness. Ming Qi had one more crown prince and erased the crown prince. No matter how reluctant he was, for the sake of the world, he had to be willing. Shun Miao remained silent. Xie Jingxing smiled. "Killing two birds with one stone. You have done well." Shun Miao said, "I am only responsible for thinking. You are the hero." This play was thought up by Shun Miao, and Xie Jingxing was responsible for perfecting it. Xie Jingxing had many people with different talents, and among them, calculating the different routes that the crown prince and Huangfu Hao would take, the timing was accurate and the acting was just right. All these were not easy to complete. Shun Miao thought that Xie Jingxing's contribution was the biggest. Xie Jingxing smiled and declined to comment. After talking for a while, Shun Miao's hair was dry, and she was so sleepy that she yawned twice. When Xie Jingxing saw this, he planned to leave. Before leaving, Shun Miao suddenly called out to him and hesitated before opening her mouth to ask, "Did Princess Rong Exine look for you recently?" "No." Xie Jingxing raised his eyebrows. "Then what do you plan to do?" Xie Jingxing did not even turn his head back as he flew out of the window and threw out these words. "Nothing." Shen Dongling and Wang Bai were locked up in the innermost room of the prison. One did not know if Emperor Wenhui was doing it on purpose to show fairness, but he did not randomly capture people and did not touch the rest of the Wang family. But this did not mean that the situation was much better. The minister counselor's Fu only had Wang Bai as its sole heir. If something happened to Wang Bai, the Wang family would be finished. The jailers who came and went did not give the two of them good look. How many powerful people had been locked up in this prison? Once they lost their power, they would lose everything. Besides, the minister counselor was not a high-ranking official and was not worthy of being given a good look. Shen Dongling was extremely embarrassed. A few days ago, she was harboring the dream of a meteoric rise in the future, but did not think that there would be such an ending. Originally, when they were rich and comfortable, she and Wang Bai treated each other with respect and were harmonious. But once something happened, the astute Wang Bai and the equally astute Shen Dongling, those hidden cracks and contradictions were exposed. Wang Bai blamed Shen Dongling. After all, the idea of Pinxiang was Shen Dongling's, who knew that both of them would be buried in prison. Wang Bai was not a fool. Since the crown prince had not been rescued, how good would their reaction be? The most important thing was that the crown prince was the heir apparent, and there would be the empress who would run errands for him. Other than the money that the Wang family could not expose to the world, what else did they have? Chapter 797. Shen Dongling could only defend herself. How would she know that Huangfu Hao would mysteriously die? This matter was a conspiracy. Someone wanted to scheme against the crown prince, but they also schemed against the two of them. Shen Dongling was innocent. Today, the jailer came and brought them food that was different from the past. The food was very fresh, and there was even meat mixed in it. Shindongling was still a little happy. The food they had eaten in prison these days was often rotten, or was dry and hard to eat. Suddenly seeing such a sumptuous meal, he was pleasantly surprised and asked, "Big brother, is this for us?" The jailer glanced at her and gave a strange smile, saying, "Yes, it is for you." Wang Bai suddenly realized something, and his expression became ugly. He asked, "Big brother, what is the meaning of this?" At least there is someone who understands. The jailer continued, "Finish this last meal and be on your way." The chopsticks in Shundongling's hand fell to the ground with a clatter, almost not daring to believe her ears. It was Wang Bai who fell on his, but to the ground as if he had already expected it. It was as if all his energy had been sucked out, and he could not stand up again. "Big brother, what is going on?" Shindongling suddenly became agitated, as if she could not believe this fact. Her voice became somewhat sharp as she asked, "When can we be released? We were wrongly accused. The assassination of the Qin Crown Prince really has nothing to do with us. We have been locked up for so long. Is the matter not clear yet? When can we be released home?" She spoke quickly and anxiously, as if this could dispel the fear in her heart. It was the first time Wang Bai saw Shundongling lose her composure like this. He looked at Shundongling in a daze and did not speak. The jailer's brows furrowed at Shundongling's words. He took 2 steps back before saying impatiently, "Not to mention you, even His Highness the Crown Prince has been convicted. How can you say you are innocent?" Wang Bai was startled and asked, "His Highness the Crown Prince has pleaded guilty?" The jailer gave a snort and said, "Isn't that so? Regardless of whether you are wrongly accused or not, it is your good fortune to be together with His Highness the Crown Prince." Furthermore, the jailer's smile was somewhat malicious. "Even if you are innocent, the Wang family's illicit salt trade is not a small crime." Wang Bai's body trembled, and he asked with a trembling voice, "This? How do you know?" "How would I know?" The jailer waved his hands and impatiently said, "That is what the outside says." He took another look at Wang Bai and said, "I heard that when we sent people to raid the Wang family's gold and silver were carried out in chests, and it took them an entire afternoon. Since you've enjoyed riches and honor, you won't lose out in this life. Young Master Wang, don't think about anything else. Just eat this bowl of rice in peace and reincarnate into a good family in your next life." Shindongling's heart sank. If it was said that there was still a sliver of hope before, then once the matter of the illicit salt was revealed, then she and Wang Bai would really have no way out. Dongling felt that the Shun Tian Shun Ling Shun not Dong and Ling, and Shun, Wang's family would Ling Ling Shun, Shun Ling Ling Shun, Wang Ling Shun, Shi Ling, Ling Shun, Wang Ling Ling, Wang Prince, Dong Dong, Dong Ling Ling, Wang of Ling, Shun Dong Ling only felt that the sky and earth were spinning. She had tried every possible means to exchange marriage with Shun Yu, and planned such a marriage for herself. Towards the Wang family, she was also extremely satisfied. Although the Wang clan couldn't be considered to be extremely powerful, with money, they didn't have to worry about food and clothing, and their days would only get better and better. But how did he end up in prison? How did his riches and honor vanish like smoke? She couldn't accept this. If she did not come up with this idea for Wang Bai, would they be able to avoid this calamity? Huang Fu Hao would not have died, the crown prince would not have been wrongly accused, and they would not have become innocent sacrifices. Why was she bewitched that day and wanted to scheme against Shin Miao? It was obvious that those who went against Shin Miao would not have a good ending. So why did one have to personally knock one's head until it bled? Chapter 798. Shin Miao. That's right, Shin Miao. Shin Miao must have done something behind the scenes for the matter to be in such a state. Shin Dongling suddenly had an idea and took off a bracelet from her wrist. Her jewelry was almost used up after she entered the prison, and this bracelet was given to her by Wang Furen on the day she married. It was extremely valuable and could almost buy a shop in a remote place. She stuffed the shop into the jailer's hands and said eagerly, "May trouble eldest brother to help me find my 5th younger sister and help me pass a message. Just say that I have something to say to her." She then earnestly said, "One's words are kind when one is about to die. Hope that eldest brother can help me one last time. She was born to be good-looking, and with such a delicate and pitiful posture, and with tears on her eyelashes. The jailer's heart softened a little. He took the bracelet and said, "Since that is the case, one will help you this time. But I'm only responsible to pass the message and cannot guarantee if fifth Shin young lady will come or not." Shin Dongling quickly thanked him. Wang Bai sneered, and his expression was somewhat tired. One did not know if he was laughing at himself or Shin Dongling. "Could it be that you think that Shun Miao will come and save you? I do not know if she will come or not." Shin Dongling changed the weak look she had when she was facing the jailer, and her expression was somewhat ruthless. "If she is willing to save me and be humble, I am not afraid to give in to her. But if she does not have the heart to save me, then why would the first household of the Shun family be able to live on safe and sound? Since we are one family, naturally one should face difficulties and hardships together." Just as Shin Dongling thought, the jailer really passed her words to Shun Miao, but Shun Miao was very straightforward and directly interrupted the conversation, indicating that she was not willing to go. She even let Jingja seal a heavy pouch for the jailer. The entire residence of the Shun family was no longer there, and only the first household of the Shun family was still standing tall, like an iron wall, in the Ding capital. 2 years ago, Shen Xian was demoted and chased out of the Ding capital, and one did not think that he would return after 2 years. Not only that, compared to 2 years ago, Shen Xian's attitude was even more unyielding and was no longer modest, but no one was able to grab hold of his weakness. Even Emperor Wen Hui had to be courteous to him. One was a prisoner, and the other was a military officer with great power. In any case, the jailer would not choose to offend a military officer for a prisoner. The jailer left. Shen Miao sat in front of the dressing mirror as Jing combed her hair and asked, "This servant thought that young lady would go and meet third young lady." Gu Yu glared at her. Why would young lady want to see her? After all, the second and third household of the Shun family have nothing to do with us. Besides, what they have committed is a capital offense. If Miss goes to see her for no reason, what if other people think too much and implicate Miss? Jing just stuck out her tongue and said, "Did young lady not see second young lady and eldest young lady one last time?" Shin Dongling is not an ordinary person. Shin Miao listened to the two of them arguing and said, "I will not jump into a pit specially dug for me." Dig a pit? Jing's expression suddenly changed. Young lady is saying that third young lady wants to harm young lady. One must always guard against others. Shin Miao said lightly. Among these daughters of the Shun residents, Shin Yu and Shin Qing were after all spoiled by their mother. Although they were vicious, their schemes were not very deep. Most likely it was because they were still young that some things could not be seen clearly. But Shin Dongling was different. Since young, Shen Dongling and Wan Yinyang were suppressed by Ren Wan Yun and her biological father. Shen Gui had an indifferent temperament. To survive in such an environment, Shen Dongling's will was more tenacious than the average person. She was able to hide in the courtyard for more than 10 years, and let Ren Wan Yun take her lightly was enough to prove this point. Towards such an enemy, Shen Miao did not dare to look at it clearly. If Shin Yu and Shin Qing were to suffer a heavy blow, she would be the first to panic, but Shen Dongling would still grasp the last opportunity to scheme. As long as she did not die, she would be able to scheme for what she wanted at the last moment. Chapter 799. Seeing how Shen Dongling treated her biological father so coldly, Shin Miao did not think that Shen Dongling would have any feelings for her. Gu Yu also rambled on. One do not know what she is thinking in her heart. Since she is already in prison, one fear that she would not be able to play any tricks. No need to worry. As long as I do not go, there will not be any mistakes. Shen Miao comforted them. If she wants to ask me for help, I would not be able to do it, and it would be useless even if I go. If she wants to pull me into the water, I would not even see her, so naturally there is no other way. Jingjin nodded her head repeatedly. Correct. It is correct not to go. Shen Miao's eyes drooped down, but there was one thing that she found strange. The Crown Prince and Wang Bai were naturally imprisoned because of Huang Fu Hao's matter, but Emperor Wenhui's decision to convict them spread so quickly. Other than the Qin Emperor's urging, one fear that it was related to the news of the illicit salt trade. Emperor Wenhui could not tolerate people who sought wealth under his eyelids, even if it was his own son. The Qin Emperor's coercion and Emperor Wenhui's anger was the reason why the decision was spread so quickly. It was just that. How did the news of the illicit salt spread out? Was it done by Xie Jingxing? She held her cheeks as she thought hard. In the palace, outside the Yangxian Hall, the Empress had been kneeling in the courtyard for an entire day. He had been kneeling since dawn. The servants tried to persuade him, but to no avail. It was already afternoon. Japan was cold in winter, and the ground was covered with ice. After kneeling for a whole day, without a cushion to support his knees, it was easy for his knees to catch a cold. He was afraid that his body was stiff. The sun was shining in the sky, and even though there were no problems with the Empress body on normal days, at this moment she was sweating profusely. She clenched her teeth and did not say a word as she silently knelt and looked as if she was going to fall in the next moment. The palace maid by her side advised, "Your ladyship, it is better to return first. One fear that His Majesty is busy today, so your ladyship need not hurt your body. It is not good to catch a cold in this cold weather." "Bin Gong want to kneel," the Empress said in a firm tone. "Kneel until His Majesty changes his mind." When the eunuch passed the Empress' words to Emperor Wenhui's ears in the study, Emperor Wenhui flew into a rage and said, "Let her kneel. Let her kneel. She wants me to change my mind and make her give up." Ever since she knew that the Crown Prince's conviction document was out, the Empress wanted to personally see Emperor Wenhui to plead for leniency, but Emperor Wenhui did not even want to see her. The Empress was worried about the Crown Prince, but was helpless and could only kneel in the courtyard outside the Yangxian Palace Hall, thinking that after kneeling for a long time, Emperor Wenhui would eventually let her in because of his face. The Empress knew that the Crown Prince had committed a big mistake. If one were to talk about Huang Fuhao's matter, a discerning person would be able to see that there was something fishy about it, and because of this, Emperor Wenhui's heart still protected this son. The matter of trading illicit salt with the Wang family had wiped away the last bit of guilt in Emperor Wenhui's heart. Now that Emperor Wenhui was angry and disgusted with the Crown Prince, how could he listen to the Empress' advice? The Empress also had no other way. After being husband and wife with Emperor Wenhui for so many years, she knew clearly what Emperor Wenhui was thinking in his heart, but the Crown Prince was her only son. For this only son, she was willing to kneel for a lifetime. So what was one day? Just as they were in a deadlock, one heard a chuckle from behind, and someone walked over enchanting. She was wearing a peach red gold silk dress, and her clothes were bright and glowed with glory. She looked at the Empress and said, "Why is older sister kneeling here?" Scared younger sister, so much that one thought that older sister would give such a big bow to younger sister. In the future, do not make such a joke again. The Empress gritted her teeth as she looked at her with hatred. This person was Consort Su Xian. To tell the truth, how could the matter of the Crown Prince's illicit salt trade suddenly spread out? The Empress suspected that Prince Zhou and Prince Jing had something to do with it. After the Crown Prince's death, the two brothers would have one less formidable enemy. It was just that there was no evidence, so she could not say anything. But Consort Su Xian had the ability to add fuel to the fire. Consort Su Xian smiled prettily and asked, "Why is older sister not going in? Could it be that you have done something wrong and are kneeling to His Majesty for forgiveness? Why not younger sister go in and plead for older sister?" Chapter 800. Consort Su Xian smiled prettily and asked, "Why is older sister not going in? Could it be that you have done something wrong and are kneeling to ask His Majesty for forgiveness? Why not younger sister go in and plead for older sister?" The Empress gritted her teeth. No need. In the previous dynasty's battles, it often involved the women in the inner palace. When Prince Zhou's faction and the Crown Prince's faction fought, it not only represented the Dragon Throne, but also the people behind them. If the Crown Prince were to fall, how long would the Empress' position last? There would be a day when Emperor Wenhui would grow old, And if Prince Zhou were to sit on the dragon throne, what kind of ending would the Empress have? There were countless of dirty tricks in an official's residence, and it was even more so in the inner palace. If one was not careful, one would lose one's life and one's family would be implicated. How could one not be careful in their lives? Consort Su Xian smiled. If older sister is not willing, younger sister will not force. But younger sisters still have things to say to His Majesty and will not disturb older sister's interest. She covered her mouth and laughed before sending someone to inform Emperor Wenhui. The Empress could not wait to scratch Consort Su Xian's face. The Empress could almost guess what Consort Su Xian would say if she went in now. It was nothing more than adding oil to the fire. Emperor Wenhui had always listened to Consort Su Xian's words, and one fear that his anger towards the crown prince would be even higher. But she was unable to stop Consort Su Xian. Consort Su Xian was about to go in when she saw a person rushing over from outside. Upon seeing Consort Su Xian, she said apologetically, "Consort Xian, His Highness Prince Rue is outside and is requesting to see His Majesty." Prince Rue? Consort Su Xian and the Empress were startled at the same time. What was Prince Rue doing here at this time? Even though Consort Su Xian was usually arrogant and willful, it was not that she did not know what was going on. That arrogance was just a small temper towards Emperor Wenhui, but she dared not be careless in big matters. She immediately said, "Then I will come back later." The Empress was after all older than Consort Su Xian by a few years and had seen more of the court's matters. Her heart sank. Prince Rue did not come earlier or later, but came when the crown prince met with an accident and Emperor Wenhui had issued the letter of conviction. One feared that his intentions were not good. The close attendant by Emperor Wenhui's side quickly came out and spoke a few words to the person who reported before the person went out. The Empress and Consort Su Xian, one was kneeling and one was standing when one saw a young male dressed in purple walking in. He wore half a silver mask and had a leisurely expression. The Empress felt ashamed and angry for no reason. As the Empress of a country, she was seen in such a sorry state by an outsider. Consort Su Xian looked at the other's face and was slightly dazed. Some people were born very strange. It was hard to see what their appearance was like, but their noble and elegant aura was enough to make people admire them. It was as though as long as he stood there, the gazes of others would fall on him. Prince Rue walked past the Empress and only glanced at her. There was not much meaning in his eyes, and his footsteps did not stop, as if he did not see the mother of the country kneeling in front of the hall. But this was definitely not because he understood the Empress, so he pretended not to know. Even though Prince Rue did not reveal any expression, the Empress felt that the other party was just too lazy to look, and it was the disdain and contempt that was revealed from the bottom of his heart. She was mortified. In the study, Emperor Wenhui was sitting in front of the table. His performance was light and steady, as if the person who was in a rage in the study was not him. It was just that his back was somewhat stiff. The purple-clad youth walked in from outside and lazily called him Your Majesty as a greeting. After that, he walked to the opposite of him and sat down. He sat casually, as if Emperor Wenhui was the guest, and there was no trace of respect or worship in his eyes. That look made Emperor Wenhui have a feeling that in front of this young man, he did not count as anything. Chapter 801. This thought only lasted for a short moment before Emperor Wenhui recovered to his senses and smiled as he looked at Prince Rue. These days Jean is very busy and did not ask if Prince Rue is used to living here. There was some closeness in these words. Now that the Qin country had a bad attitude towards the Ming Qi, if the Great Liang had other thoughts at this time, the Ming Qi would really be in a dilemma. Thus Emperor Wenhui did not want to make things too bad with the Great Liang. It was good to admit weakness or lower one's head. As long as one could pass this hurdle in front of them, anything else could be discussed in the future. That was why he rushed to please Prince Rue. If the commoners of the Ming Qi saw Emperor Wenhui like this, one feared that they would scoff. Prince Rue smiled lazily. Thanks to Your Majesty's blessings, this prince is living well, but one heard that Your Majesty is not well these few days. Emperor Wen Hui's heart jumped, but did not show it at all on his face. He only shook his head and smiled bitterly. One cannot teach one's son properly and let Prince Rue see a joke. One cannot blame your majesty. Prince Rue said, "After all, your majesty has 9 sons." One could not hear any joy or anger in his tone. But Emperor Qin is pitiful. To come to the Ming Qi to pay tribute. The crown prince and princess both died here. It is really an unexpected disaster. Emperor Wen Hui's smile became somewhat awkward. Prince Rue was not wrong. The Qin emperor kept requesting the crown prince to pay with his life because he wanted to pursue balance, but there was another reason. 2 countries came to pay tribute, but Prince Rue of the Great Liang was not harmed at all, but the crown prince and princess of the Qin country died. What was going on? Was the Ming Qi deliberately targeting their Qin country? Or was it to show that the Qin country was weak and could not even protect the crown prince and princess? In any case, this was a matter that made the Qin country lose face, and Emperor Qin was most annoyed by this. So even if the crown prince paid with his life, the vanity of his superior would make Emperor Qin hate the Ming Qi for a period of time. He said, "Zhen will also deal with this matter as soon as possible." Prince Rue smiled. Emperor Qin would not give up so easily. Emperor Wen Hui's breath was stuck in his chest. His words were tactful, and he did not want to delve into this topic with the other party, but he did not know if Prince Rue did not understand it or what. But he used this matter to block his heart, and even said it without giving any face. Of course, Emperor Wen Hui would not think that Prince Rue was so stupid that he could not read the situation. So Prince Rue was doing it on purpose to disgust him. Emperor Wen Hui really wanted to brush his sleeves and leave like how he treated his disobedient courtiers or fly into a rage. Unfortunately, Prince Rue was not one of his courtiers. Even though he was a prince of first rank, in some aspects, he was more ferocious than the emperor. Emperor Wen Hui could only stiffly change the topic and asked, "But one do not know why Prince Rue came to look for Jin today?" Prince Rue did not speak and only bent a finger to knock on the table. In the silence, Emperor Wen Hui's heart was also grabbed by that finger that was knocking on the table. He suddenly thought that Prince Rue had picked this time to come over. Could it be that he wanted to talk to him about something important? If Prince Rue were to mention the city at the border of the Great Liang and Ming Qi at this time, how could Emperor Wen Hui reject it? His spine was initially stiff, but now it was drenched in cold sweat. The other party was so silent, but unknowingly made him feel a great weight. After a moment, Prince Rue's finger that was knocking on the table paused, and he casually said, "It is for this prince's lifelong event." What? Upon hearing these words, Emperor Wen Hui instinctively froze for a moment, and before he could understand, he heard Prince Rue's flat voice. Imperial older brother had always hoped that this prince would get married as soon as possible. This time over to the Ming Qi, he instructed this prince to bring my princess back. This prince also has this intention. Chapter 802. This time Emperor Wen Hui understood. Prince Rue wanted to find a female in Ming Qi, but why? Emperor Wen Hui instinctively felt that it was somewhat strange and guessed that there was a conspiracy, but he could not show it. He immediately revealed a magnanimous smile and said, "So it is like this. No matter what, heroes have a weakness for the charms of beauties. Prince Rue is a young talent and naturally should have a beautiful wife like a flower. One just do not know which family's young lady Prince Rue fancies." Prince Rue stared at him, and a pair of beautiful peach blossom eyes suddenly burst into a smile. Emperor Wen Hui was surprised for a moment before he heard that youth lightly speaking. "Shun family, Shun Miao." Emperor Wen Hui could not laugh anymore. His heart was trembling with anger and wished that someone could drag Prince Rue down to behead him, but he could not. But he finally could not maintain the friendly smile on his face, and his expression was extremely stiff. He asked in a dry voice, "Who did you say?" "The daughter of the formidable great general." Prince Rue said, "Your Majesty do not remember? Did the crown prince not want to marry her as a souffle a few days ago? To actually force one to this extent. Too much bullying." Many thoughts appeared in Emperor Wen Hui's mind in a split second, and at the end, he could not help but sneer. This Prince Rue looked lazy and did not care about anything. He did not even put the alliance between Ming Qi and the Qin country in his eyes, and only minded his own business every day. So he was actually a pig pretending to eat the tiger, and still had a trick up his sleeves. Thinking about marrying the daughter of the formidable great general. Was he marrying Shun Miao or the Shun family's military power? Emperor Wen Hui knew that to the Great Liang, the Shun family's military power was nothing, as the Great Liang had many outstanding officers and soldiers. But to Ming Qi, most of the outstanding officers were dismissed by him in the early years, and now the Xie family was in decline, so the only one that could support the prestige of Ming Qi was the Shun family. Without the Shun family and Ming Qi, it was like a tiger without its claws. If one were to deal with the Great Liang, one feared that one would not even be able to struggle for a few minutes before being eaten up cleanly. What a good Prince Rue! What a good Great Liang! Emperor Wen Hui forced out a smile. Prince Rue has good foresight, but everyone knows that General Shun loves his daughter. If Prince Rue insisted on marrying Shun Miao, one feared that General Shun would love his young daughter and would not be willing for her married to the Great Liang. What is so difficult about this? Prince Rue played with the thumb ring in his hand and casually said, "If General Shun is not willing, is to marry." Rue was Wen Hui. Prince Rue's words continued to pass into his ears. The Great Liang and Ming Qi are currently considered friendly. Your Majesty will not even give this prince this favor, right? He stretched his body and said lightly, "If that's the case, it's time for me to report to my brother about the city." Emperor Wen Hui had lived for a lifetime and finally knew what was the feeling of trembling with anger. The Shun family was a piece of fat meat, and Prince Rue not only wanted to snatch this piece of fat meat, he also wanted the host family to offer the fat meat with both hands. If he really gave this imperial edict, one fear that even if Shun Xin stayed in Ming Qi in the future due to his loyalty, he would still have resentment towards him. It was he who gave the imperial edict for Shun Miao to marry far away. If he was not willing to give an imperial edict, Emperor Wen Hui looked at the man in front of him. He was wearing a mask, and one could not see what expression he had, but he felt that under this person's lazy appearance, there was an extremely powerful means. Under the precarious situation of the Ming Qi and Qin countries' alliance, it was not a wise move to rashly go against the Great Liang. Prince Rue gave him a difficult problem, and there was no answer to this difficult problem because any answer would be wrong. The one who would suffer would be him. That man's gaze landed on Emperor Wen Hui, like a cat playing with a mouse in its claws. He lazily asked, "Has your Majesty thought it through?" Chapter 803. Emperor Wen Hui stifled his anger. Ever since he ascended to the throne, he had dealt with numerous troublesome matters, but there was not once that made one feel so aggrieved. There was no one who dared to be so rude and presumptuous to him. For the first time in his life, Emperor Wen Hui started to regret that he should not have concentrated his military power to deal with the aristocratic families. If Ming Qi had a few more valiant generals like Shun Xin, would they not need to be so submissive in front of the Great Liang? But how could there be medicine for regret in this world? When Prince Rue saw that he did not reply, he smiled and stood up. This prince understands. He made a move to leave. "Wait!" Emperor Wen Hui called out to him. Prince Rue stood still and smiled. "Your Majesty must have thought it through. As the ruler of a country, one's words carry enormous weight. Since Ming Qi and the Great Liang are on good terms, Zhen naturally also have the beauty of helping others." Emperor Wen Hui's smile was uglier than crying as he said, "If the young lady of the Shun family were to marry to Prince Rue, it would be the fortune of the young lady of the Shun family, and Zhen would be happy to see it happen. Don't worry, I will draft an edict today, and in a few days I will announce it." He squatted for a while, and with great difficulty spat out a few words from his mouth. "About the city, just take it as a gift to His Majesty." Lord Rue smiled and left in a good mood. After Prince Rue left, Emperor Wen Hui collapsed on the chair, and beads of perspiration appeared on his forehead, but his face was flushed red. Anger, shame, humiliation, and resentment interweaved on his face. However, he was powerless to change this. This was perhaps the most embarrassing thing in the world. He was the ruler of a country, the chosen one, but he had no choice but to admit his helplessness. Yuna Gao, who was standing at the side, didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Seeing the emperor being forced into such a state with his own eyes, it was only natural for a servant to be frightened. "Bring Zhen's pen and paper over," Emperor Wen Hui suddenly said after a moment. Yuna Gao hurriedly agreed. Emperor Wen Hui's gaze was heavy. Even though Prince Rue said that the matter of the city would not be mentioned for the time being, it was a temporary stability that was exchanged with the Shun family's marriage. No one knew how long the stability would last. The most important thing was that after Shan Miao married to Prince Rue, even though Shen Xian was still a Ming Qi person, Emperor Wen Hui no longer dared to trust Shen Xian. Even though he suppressed Shun Xian previously, it was because he was afraid that Shun Xian's meritorious service would overshadow the emperor, but the formidable great general had been loyal for generations, and Emperor Wen Hui believed in Shun Xian's loyalty. But his daughter was in the Great Liang, and if the Great Liang used Shun Miao as leverage to threaten Shen Xian, who knew what kind of thing Shen Xian would do? Shun Xian, this chess piece was crippled, and Ming Qi's situation would be even more difficult. In order to guard against the Great Liang, Ming Qi must quickly restore the alliance relationship with the Qin country. With both countries working together, they would be able to contend against the Great Liang. The Qin country was still angry at the Ming Qi because of Huangfu Hao and Princess Ming'an, so the Ming Qi must show sincerity. The crown prince must die. Emperor Wen Hui closed his eyes. Out of everyone's expectations, Emperor Wen Hui's letter of conviction to the crown prince came so quickly and urgently that no one had time to think clearly. The crown prince committed suicide in prison. Whether it was suicide or not, a discerning person could see it, but it was to preserve the crown prince's reputation. One could not let the dignified crown prince end up like a prisoner in the marketplace and be beheaded in front of everyone. Moreover, it was because of the crime of assassinating another country's crown prince. One feared that the prestige of the Ming Qi's imperial family would be lost the next day. The commoners were always easy to fool, but the officials were well versed in this. Who would know if the crown prince committed suicide or not? The imperial family always liked to find a good reason for themselves, even if they were dirty. When the news of the crown prince's suicide was spread, the empress seemed to have made a ruckus before falling seriously ill and did not step out of the Kuan-Ning palace to recuperate. Chapter 804. All the concubines in the inner palace were in danger. How could the empress be seriously ill? It was because the crown prince had fallen. With the crown prince falling, the empress would have no one to rely on for the rest of her life, and it was hard to say if she could still sit on this position. The empress had lost her beloved son, and one feared that she would hold a grudge against Emperor Wen Hui. Naturally, Emperor Wen Hui had to be on guard. Only they themselves knew if it was because of illness that they did not leave the house or if they were under house arrest. If the empress also fell, who would be the next master in the 6 palaces? It seemed that Consort Su Xian had the highest chance of winning. Emperor Wen Hui doted on Consort Su Xian, and Consort Su Xian had 2 princes' sons. The Prince Zhou and Prince Jing brothers were fighting to the death with Prince Li's faction, but Prince Li did not have a favored consort mother. Prince Zhou and Prince Jing could be considered as having the right time, place, and people. Thus, the concubines were very careful in their conduct. At this juncture, one could not let others catch hold of their weakness, and if one was careless, one would be used as a gun, and it would not be good. In Huangfu Hao's matter, other than the crown prince and the empress who were implicated, all the other related people were implicated. The one who was implicated the most was the residence of the Minister of Land. That day, it was the young Master Wang of the Minister of Land's residence who requested to taste incense, and he even brought along his wife, who knew that Huangfu Hao's blood would splatter all over Yifeng Pavilion and Wang Bai and Shundong Ling would definitely not be able to escape. But this was not the reason why they were convicted. The Minister of Land was found to be in the business of trading illicit salt. Trading illicit salt was a big crime, and the entire Wang residence would be implicated. Wang Bai and Shundong Ling were sentenced to be beheaded, and the rest of the Wang family's males were exiled, and the females were sent to the border as military prostitutes. Emperor Wen Hui's action was seen by a discerning person that this time he was quite angry, as if he had been provoked and was deliberately taking it out on others. But the emperor's mind was something that one could not fathom. Even though the officials were puzzled, they were only following orders. Shen Miao was drinking tea as she listened to Jingzhi talk about the things that happened in the past few days. Luo Tan, who was by her side, kept stuffing snowflake sweets in her mouth. The snowflake sweets were brought in from Tsongyang, and it was said that it was made by a famous pastry chef in the Great Liang. Shen Miao did not pay attention, but was discovered by Luo Tan. After Luo Tan ate it, she was pleasantly surprised and asked Shen Miao where she bought it from. Shen Miao could only stammer and reply casually. Crown Prince Qin's matter has caused quite a stir. As Luo Tan ate, she said, "So many people have been buried with him. Even a crown prince wouldn't be enough." At the end of her sentence, her voice became softer, as if she was afraid that the walls might be eavesdropping. Shen Miao gently smiled and declined to comment, but her heart was shocked by Emperor Wen Hui's ruthlessness and decisiveness. Indeed, like father, like son. In the past, when Fu Xiu wanted to eradicate the Shen family, he did not care about Fu Ming and Wan Yu's life and death. At that time, she was thinking, how could there be such a heartless person in the world? Now it seemed that Fu Xiuyi's actions were exactly the same as Emperor Wen Hui's. In the eyes of the Fu family, love, or friendship were all unreliable. Only power was what they chased after their entire life. In order to secure this position, sacrificing one son was nothing. Anyway, there would be other women who would bear children for them. This was most likely the Fu family's innate unrighteousness. Luo Tan looked at the small amount of snowflake sweets on the plate and counted with her fingers. Gumu and Gu Fu have eaten, older brother Chiu has also eaten, and only older brother Ling has not eaten. How about leaving this for older brother Ling? She looked at Shen Miao. Naturally, Shen Miao would not fuss over a mouthful and nodded her head. It would be good if you could remember where you bought this snowflake sweets from. Luo Tan sighed and said with some regret, "I have eaten all the pastries in the Shaochun city and also ate the pastries in the Ding capital. This is the first time I have eaten such delicious snowflake sweets. Even though you do not remember clearly, I plan to personally send someone to search tomorrow and must find this shop." Chapter 805. Shen Miao was speechless. This was made by the Great Liang's imperial chef, and even if Luo Tan returned the entire Ding capital upside down, one feared that she would not be able to find this shop. Shen Miao was somewhat regretful. At that time, she should not have said shop, and it would be better to say it was a small stall. Luo Tan said again, "Older brother Ling also likes to eat pastries and would definitely like this." Finishing, she thought of something and said, "But these few days older brother Ling is somewhat strange." Shen Miao asked, "What is it?" Her daily concerns were not on this, so she really did not know if there were any changes in Luo Ling. Other than going to the Ministry of War, he would not come out much after returning to the residence and just practice martial arts in the courtyard. Luo Tan propped her chin up and said, "Older brother Ling was not one who was so harsh on himself in the past. Moreover, these few days when I looked for him to talk, he did not have a good mood, as if he had suffered a blow." Luo Tan looked at Shen Miao. "Biao, youngest sister, you are smart. Do you know what is wrong with him?" Shen Miao said, "I do not follow him all the time, so how would I know what he is thinking about?" Seeing Luo Tan's worried look, she comforted her. "Do not worry. Most likely it is nearing the end of the year, and the Ministry of War will be very busy. It will be better after this period of time." Luo Tan nodded her head, and, just as she was speaking, she saw Shen Xiu and Luo Tan walking in one after another. Seeing both of them in the main hall, Luo Tan called out, "Older brother Chiu, older brother Ling, come over to eat snowflake sweets." Luo Ling entered the room and first looked at Shun Miao. Shun Miao was looking at Shun Xiu with a smile, and his eyes could not help but darken as he walked to one side and sat down. Shun Xiu unceremoniously grabbed a piece of snowflake sweets and stuffed it in his mouth. "Why are both of you so free today?" Luo Tan was laughing and joking with Shun Xiu when she heard the servant outside announcing that Shun Xian and Luo Shui Yin had returned. Shun Xiu said, "Just nice. Father and mother have returned, and it is time for us to eat." Shun Xian and Luo Shui Yin walked in from outside, but this time even the most carefree Luo Tan also felt that something was wrong. Shun Xian's face was livid and his expression was very ugly, while Luo Shui Yin also had an angry look. Usually, even if there were unsatisfactory matters outside, Shun Xian and wife would not show it in front of the children. Moreover, both of them were naturally open-minded, and there were very few things that could anger them. But looking at him today, he was clearly furious. The manservant beside Shun Xian and Luo Shui Yin did not even dare to breathe loudly. He lowered his head and retreated. Luo Tan and Luo Ling were after all cousins. Thus at this moment she had some doubts in her heart, but it was not good to ask. Shun Xiu wanted to ask, but seeing his father's expression of killing whoever asked, he hesitated and did not dare to open his mouth. Finally, it was Shun Miao who took the initiative to open her mouth. She looked at Shun Xian and Luo Shui Yin and said with a smile, "Why does father and mother look unhappy? Is there something not going well outside?" When Shun Miao opened her mouth, Shun Xian and Luo Shui Yin looked at Shun Miao at the same time. Shun Xian's eyes were filled with remorse, anger, and grievance, while Luo Shui Yan's eyes were filled with deep guilt and helplessness. Shun Miao's heart thumped, but she quickly understood that for Shun Xian and wife to reveal such an expression, it was most likely related to her. Luo Shui Yin took a deep breath and smiled. "It's nothing. It's just some matters regarding the imperial court. Jiao Jiao must be hungry. Let's eat first." It was just that the smile was forced. Even Luo Tan's gaze was solemn. What matter was so serious that Shun Xian and wife, who were always straightforward and fearless, had to hide it? This matter was already so thorny to such a stage. Shun Miao did not speak and did not answer yes or no. She only looked at Shun Xian and wife. Her attitude clearly indicated that she wanted an explanation. She did not believe Luo Shui Yan's explanation at all. Shun Xiu was in a trance and seemed to see Shun Miao from a few years ago. At that time, Shun Miao was still arrogant and was not as close to them as she was now, and was very close to the second and third household. Every time she asked for something from Shun Xian, she would stand in front of them without saying a word and was extremely stubborn. Actually, from the past to now, Shun Miao seemed to have changed a lot, but some habits in her bones had not changed. Shun Xian said, "Jiao Jiao, be obedient." It was rare for him to be so strict with Shun Miao. If it was in the past, Shun Miao would have cried. Luo Ling looked at her with some worry. Shun Miao's expression did not change and still had an indifferent look. She said, "Why did father and mother not tell me the truth? If I'm also unable to solve it, at least I can share some of the burden. If I am able to solve it, it would be better. To hide the matter alone, it would seem estranged. I am not a little child. I am the same as eldest brother, a member of the Shun family." Shun Xian's lips moved, but he still did not speak. Shun Miao looked at him with a pair of eyes as clear as a stream. Under such a gaze, one could not help but tell her the truth. She said, "Moreover, this matter is related to me, right?" Luo Shui Yin was suddenly shocked. Luo Tan and Luo Ling looked at Shun Miao in surprise, and Shun Xiu also had a puzzled look. When Shun Xian heard that, he looked at Shun Miao for a while and finally sighed deeply before smiling bitterly. During the court today, His Majesty sent down an imperial edict to bestow marriage to you, he said with difficulty, to Prince Ray. Chapter 806. When the words were said, the room suddenly became silent. Luo Shui Yin did not dare to look at Shun Miao's eyes, and Shun Xian's voice revealed a deep exhaustion. Luo Ling was stunned and Luo Tan's mouth was wide open, but it was Shun Xiao who slammed the table and stood up. What does this matter? The calmest one was Shun Miao. But even though she looked calm on the surface, there were no waves in her heart. She had long thought of Xie Jingxing's move, but she did not think that Xie Jingxing would dare to do it so blatantly. Wait, how did he let Emperor Wen Hui take the initiative to decree the marriage? Shen Miao was thinking about this, but Shun Xiao could not wait to stand up and anxiously said, "What kind of person is Prince Rui? Younger sister is a Ming Qi's young lady. How can she marry someone for the Great Liang? Is the emperor crazy?" Xiao, Luo Shui Yin glared at him. "Be careful with your words. The walls have ears, and it was possible that the heavenly family had spies everywhere." Shin Xiao was so angry that he actually said such disgraceful words. Shin Xiao suddenly shut up and looked at Shun Miao before scratching his ears and cheeks. No matter what, younger sister cannot marry that nuisance Prince Rui. Prince Rui? Why is this name so familiar? A light flashed in his mind, and he suddenly clapped his hands. So it is that person. I was wondering why the dignified prince of the Great Liang would take the initiative to greet me. So it was because of younger sister. Hateful. Shen Xian frowned when he heard it and asked, "You have seen Prince Rui before?" "The last time Biao younger brother, and I met him on the way back to the residence. He even invited me to the residence of Prince Rui to compete." Shin Xiao said angrily, "If I knew that he had such thoughts, I would have cut off the horse's leg and let him fall to his death." Shin Miao, Luo Ling was also surprised for a moment before thinking of something and looked toward Shin Miao. Shin Miao was baffled by Luo Ling's complicated gaze and did not have the mood to ask further. She only asked Shun Xian, "This is the imperial decree issued by His Majesty? Why did His Majesty suddenly decree a marriage for me?" If one were to say that there were many marriageable young ladies in the Great Liang, there were a few princesses in the imperial family, and there were also quite a number of Junju. It was true that Shun Miao knew that this was Xie Jingxing's idea, but she still wanted to inquire, how did Xie Jingxing manage to convince Emperor Wen Hui? Shen Xian looked at Shun Miao with deep pain in his heart and paused for a moment before sighing, "Jiao Jiao, it is father who is incompetent." He then slowly narrated the events of today. So when he was in court today, Emperor Wen Hui had finished handling some court matters, and when he was about to leave the court, he suddenly changed the topic and mentioned that Prince Rui of the Great Liang had the intention to marry a Wang Fei from Ming Qi and return to the country. Some of the courtiers were excited, and some were uneasy. Those who loved their daughters naturally did not wish for their daughters to marry far away, while those who wholeheartedly wanted to climb up hoped that their daughters would marry Prince Rui, at least to be a Wang Fei. Emperor Wen Hui did not give everyone a chance to think and directly bestowed marriage. And the young lady who was bestowed the marriage was the daughter of the formidable great general Shen Miao. Everyone was stunned. Everyone knew that Shun Miao was the pearl in Shun Xian's palm, and if Shun Miao was to marry to the Great Liang, one feared that Shun Xian would not be willing. And now that the Ming Qi needed Shen Xian, why would Emperor Wen Hui find trouble with Shen Xian at this time? Even if those courtiers were as cunning as foxes, this time they were unable to see through the emperor's heart. Shen Xian naturally had a stomach full of anger and could not wait to pull out a knife to chop the throne room. He could bear all kinds of grievances, but he could not let his daughter suffer any grievances. Moreover, this time Emperor Wen Hui did not even discuss with him and directly bestowed the marriage for Shen Miao. This meant that the Shun family had no chance to object at all. If they were to object, then it would be defying the imperial edict and the entire Shun family would die together. One fear that Shen Miao would not be willing. Chapter 807. At the same time, Shen Xian's heart was very puzzled. A few days ago, Emperor Wen Hui wanted to marry Shen Miao to the crown prince, even though he had ulterior motives, but in such a short period of time, he wanted to marry Shen Miao to the prince of the Great Liang. After the court, Emperor Wen Hui called out to Shun Xian and did not let him leave first. Instead, he brought Shun Xin to the imperial study and had a long talk with him. This time, it was the truth behind the bestowal of marriage to Shun Miao. Thus, Shun Xin knew that it was Prince Rui's intention to marry Shin Miao to Prince Rui, and Prince Rui used the Ming Qi's border city to threaten Emperor Wen Hui to make this decision. It was said to be the Ming Qi's border city, but the meaning behind it was the entire land of Ming Qi. Emperor Wen Hui was helpless and had no choice but to agree to this request. At the end, Emperor Wen Hui said to Shun Xin, "Zhen is the master of Ming Qi and cannot watch helplessly and ignore the lives of the common people. So General Shun, this time will plead young Lady Shun to be wronged and exchange her life for the safety of the common people. If young Lady Shun knew about it, she would understand Zhen's decision. A subject should listen to the orders of a monarch." Furthermore, the monarch in front of him was explaining the reason and apologizing so sincerely. If it was in the past, Shin Xin would definitely understand and even feel a little grateful. But when Emperor Wen Hui said to her, "Using one person to exchange for the safety of the common people of the world," Shin Xion's heart felt a trace of coldness. He even felt that the king in front of him, whom he had been loyal to for a lifetime, was actually a little hypocritical. The people of the world, Shun Xion's daughter, was also one of the people of the world. Why should his daughter be the one to be sacrificed? In this lifetime, he had spent most of his life in military campaigns and sacrificed most of his life for Ming Qi. He could even sacrifice his life at any time to protect the common people under the heavens. But if he could not even protect his own daughter, what kind of father was he? He was sacrificed, and now it was his daughter's turn to be sacrificed? Shin Xin did not even hear what Emperor Wen Hui said after that. Most likely, he was talking about what Emperor Wen Hui would give to Shin Miao when she got married, so that she would be more glorious. But in Shan Xion's ears, he felt that it was extremely ironic. No matter how selfless a person was, his heart would still be biased towards his loved ones. Especially to Shan Xion, he did not bring his daughter along with him for the past few decades, causing Shun Miao to be estranged from both husband and wife. That was what he deserved. Afterwards, it was not easy for the heavens to pity them, and Shun Miao got closer to them, but Shun Miao's temperament had changed a lot, as if she had grown up overnight. Shin Xion saw this and felt pain in his heart. Shun Miao was a little flower that was carefully tended to in the residence. But now this flower had unknowingly grown into a strong tree. To grow so fast, she had lost a lot of things. He was already feeling guilty towards Shan Miao, and now, with this imperial edict, Shin Xion really did not have the face to face Shin Miao. When Shan Xion finished his long speech, everyone in the room was silent, and Shun Xiu did not speak anymore. Emperor Wen Hui had already said it to this point. What else could he do? But was he going to watch Shin Miao get married? It seemed to be too cruel to Shin Miao. Shun Xiu did not dare to think about living with a man whom she had never seen in person, who she did not know what his temperament was like, and whom she could not say that she liked. Shin Miao said, "So it is like this." Her expression was calm, as if she was not affected in the slightest. Everyone then discovered that from knowing about the imperial edict till now, Shun Miao did not reveal a trace of surprise. Luo Shui Yin was afraid that she would suffocate and said, "Jiao Jiao, you do not need to keep in your heart. The matter has not been decided. Mother need not coax me. The imperial edict is already given and one cannot defy it." Shin Miao smiled. Moreover, it is not a bad thing to marry to Prince Rui. As a Wang Fei, one would not have to worry about food and clothing. Looking at Prince Rui's demeanor at the beginning, even though one could not see his face, one would think that he was a good-looking person. Chapter 808. But you are not acquainted with him. Shen Qiu anxiously said, "How do you know how he conducts himself? Isn't the world like this?" Shin Miao lightly said, "Some people get along for a lifetime and do not know the other party's way of life. Marrying to Prince Rui is not as bad as you all think. Staying in the Ding capital, it would be easier for others to plot against my identity, and the Shun family would not be able to protect me." Shin Xion's eyes flashed with a trace of pain. The greater her military power was, the more shackles she had to endure. The more the emperor feared her, the more he wanted to restrain her. Shen Miao's marriage could be manipulated by the crown prince previously. Naturally, it could be manipulated by others. One should not be afraid of thieves stealing, but one should be afraid of thieves remembering. The Shen family indeed could not protect Shen Miao. For the first time in his body and mind, he hated his military power. Great Liang is a good place. Shen Miao smiled slightly, and there was some yearning in her tone. It was written in the travel notes that the Great Liang country was prosperous and the people were peaceful. The doors were not closed at night, and people sang and danced to celebrate peace. The people are happy, and the bandits are purged. It's a good scene. No matter how good the scenery is, you're alone. Luo Shuiyin couldn't bear to continue. Great Liang's Princess Rui is the Qin Wang Fei. He's only below one person and above tens of thousands, so he won't go so far as to bully me. Shen Miao pondered. Since Prince Rui wants to marry me, one cannot say that he has deep feelings for me. Naturally, he would treat me well. She rarely said such teasing words about herself, but it made Luo Shuiyin and the rest laugh. Luo Shuiyin smiled. Silly child, he may not necessarily. Her words suddenly stopped. Shen Miao was smart and intelligent. So how would she not know that Prince Rui was most likely not her person, but was here for the Shen family? Saying that was just to reassure them. Thinking of this, Luo Shuiyin felt extremely sad. Shen Miao smiled gently. It is a happy event, but why do you all look so unhappy? If that's the case, it would be bad luck. She said, since the imperial edict has been issued, it won't be long before we are notified. I also have to start embroidering my dowry. There was not a trace of complaint or unhappiness in her tone. Instead, it was very natural, as if this was a marriage that had been proposed for a long time. The more it was like this, the sadder Shen Xian and his wife were. After talking for a while, Shen Miao felt tired, and everyone then ate. The meal was tasteless, and everyone had their own thoughts. After the meal, everyone dispersed to rest. Luo Tan held onto Shen Miao's arm as she had something to say to Shen Miao. Just as they were walking towards her courtyard, Luo Ling called out to her. Cousin Ling, what's the matter? Shen Miao looked at him and asked. Luo Ling asked, Biao younger sister really want to marry Prince Rui? Luo Tan looked at Luo Ling strangely, and Luo Tan smiled. The imperial edict is already out, whether one wants or not. It has nothing to do with me. I thought you would directly say no. Luo Ling's eyes dimmed, but there was still a smile, just like the rejection of those young masters in the Shaochun city. Shen Miao smiled, but did not speak. Congratulations. He smiled bitterly. Shen Miao nodded her head in thanks. After finally sending off Luo Ling, Luo Tan pulled Shen Miao back to the courtyard and dismissed the servants before closing the door. Lowering her voice, she said mysteriously, Biao youngest sister, you know about this matter, right? What? Shen Miao was baffled. Is the matter of Prince Rui forcing his majesty to bestow a marriage to you? Luo Tan said in a hurry. Shen Miao's heart jumped. Luo Tan was usually carefree and was not sensitive to anything, but on matters that she should not know, she had an exceptionally sharp intuition. She dealt with it vaguely. How is it possible? Why is it not possible? Luo Tan's interest was piqued. Do you still remember the last time when we were kidnapped? When I woke up, I brought your words to Prince Rui, and Prince Rui found you not long later. At that time, I was curious about the relationship between the both of you. Your relationship must be very good, otherwise why would Prince Rui help you? Is it like what the books say, heroes and beauties and such? Chapter 809. Shen Miao said, you should read less books, not to mention books. Luo Tan's hand supported her cheeks. That Prince Rui's ability is not small. At that time, Gugu and Gufu could not find you for several days, but he managed to find you in a short while. Our Luo family only look at one's ability. He is a man with ability, and one heard that he is also very good-looking. This is hard to come by, as many good-looking men are embroidered pillows, pleasant to look at, but useless. just like that physician, Gao, who often comes to our residence. He's also quite good-looking, but one look, and one would know that he is too weak to stand up to the wind. This kind of man is unreliable, and at most one can only look at him, but not use him. Song Yang, who was listening with relish on the tree branch, almost fell down. Pleasant to look at, but useless. This Biao young lady of the Luo family was also very powerful. One did not know how Gentleman Gao would feel after hearing it. All right. Shen Miao glanced at her, rambling on and on about these things. What matter do you have? Biao youngest sister, I knew that you were the smartest. In the entire Shen residence, you understand me the best. Even my biological younger brother Luo Qian does not have the same telepathy with me. Luo Tan looked at Shen Miao with anticipation. I only have one wish. When you go to Great Liang, bring me along. I will be your Biao older sister, accompanying you in marriage. Shen Miao almost fainted. She said in disbelief, What did you say? I have never been to Great Liang. Luo Tan said, One I've heard that Great Liang is a good place, and there are a lot of good food and fun things to do. This trip that I and older brother Ling came out was to gain experience in the Ding capital. The more places you see, the better it is for you to gain experience. Shen Miao said, It was obviously you who secretly climbed up the carriage. Luo Tan said, If there's still loyalty, then bring me along. Not bring. Shen Miao's heart was as hard as stone. In the next 1 hour, Shen Miao witnessed the scene of Luo Tan dawdling on her body for a long time. Even though she had Xie Jingxing with her, Shen Miao knew that it would not be a smooth journey, and no one could say for sure what would happen in the future, so there was no need to bring Luo Tan along. After Luo Tan left, Shen Miao sighed and opened the windows. There were trees dancing outside, and the winter night was cold and desolate. Xie Jingxing was really capable. She thought that he did not even say a word, and took the initiative to give her the imperial decree. Not only did he issue the imperial edict, but he had also disappeared. What did he mean by not appearing at such a crucial moment? Did he run away after flirting with her? Shen Miao slammed the window shut. Shameless. The sound was so loud that Song Yang dug his ears. He thought that it was probably young Madame Kuei Shui who was so temperamental on the other side, in the courtyard of Shen Xian and wife. Shen Xian was also discussing this matter with Luo Shuiyan. Shen Xian said, Go to Great Liang with Jiao Jiao. Luo Shuiyan nodded her head. We are not by Jiao Jiao's side. If Jiao Jiao met with trouble in Great Liang, the sky is high and the earth is far away. We do not know the grievances she has suffered. In the beginning, wasn't there also a young lady who was married to another country and was killed by her husband's family? This Yin did not know? How dare he? Shen Xian flew into a rage, but immediately suppressed his anger and said, I can go, but one fear that the emperor will not let the person go. Luo Shuiyan's voice lowered. Now that the situation between Great Liang and Mingqi is so tense, if we also go to Great Liang, the emperor would definitely think that we are defecting. It is indeed not appropriate. But is there really no other way? In helplessness, Shen Xian's back faced Luo Shuiyan as he looked at a painting on the wall. That was the painting that old General Shen gave him, devoted to serving the country. He was loyal, and he served the country, but what did he get in return? The Shen family was particular about a ruler under the heavens. If the ruler wanted the minister to die, the minister had no choice but to die. But why did he feel regret at this moment? Chapter 8:10. This sovereign had always guarded against him, suppressed him, and controlled him. Shen Xian did not feel anything, even if the sovereign used him. But why did he want to hurt his own children? Did all the sovereigns in the world treat their loyal subjects like this, or was it only this one? Shen Xian thought that if Emperor Wenhui was in front of Prince Rui and had a little bit of resistance or fight for Shen Miao, he would not be as dissatisfied with Emperor Wenhui as he was now. It was because Emperor Wenhui answered in a straightforward manner, as if Shen Miao was nothing in front of the Great Liang, that there was a knot in Shen Xian's heart. If Ming Qi was stronger, would they not need to bow their heads in front of the Great Liang? and one Prince Rue would be able to force the sovereign out his wits? Shin Xin suddenly had a trace of disgust towards Emperor Wen Hui's incompetence. But he did not realize that in this transaction, the resentment that he had towards Emperor Wen Hui was much more than that of Prince Rue of the Great Liang. He naturally didn't know that his change of heart had been predicted by a certain someone a long time ago. Luo Shuiyan was still nagging. Why would Prince Rue suddenly want to marry Jiao Jiao? The Great Liang does not lack this bit of military power, and even if it was to sow discord, it would not need to be like this. Shin Xian said, I will go and inquire tomorrow. Sleep first. But tonight was destined to be a sleepless night. Emperor Wen Hui announced the imperial decree in front of all the civil and military officials. Thus, there was no reason to hide it. In just a short day, almost everyone in the Ding capital knew about it. From the officials to the commoners, everyone were discussing about this matter. The princess' residence was solemn. Princess Rong Xian sat on the main seat and could not help but sneer. Why did she not see that this nephew of hers had such ability? Xie Jingxing had obviously seen Shin Miao in a different light 2 years ago, and after that he became Prince Rue. Princess Rong Xian thought that with Prince Rue's identity, no matter how much Xie Jingxing favored Shin Miao, it would be impossible for him and Shin Miao to be together in this lifetime. She did not expect that Xie Jingxing had this ability and was able to get the thing that she wanted. In the afternoon, Princess Rong Xian went to the palace to meet Emperor Wen Hui after learning of the news. She knew that Emperor Wen Hui would not bestow a marriage to Shin Miao for no reason, and insisted on knowing the reason. Emperor Wen Hui still respected her as an elder sister and told the ins and outs of the matter to Princess Rong Xian. Princess Rong Xian was unable to say what she was feeling in her heart and only felt a chill down her spine. That beautiful youth, the one who always called her Aunt Rong with a smile, was completely different from what she remembered. The current Xie Jingxing was filled with an unfamiliar aura. He could lay low for a few years to get what he wanted, and he would get what he wanted in the end. His domineering attitude, sharp methods, and merciless threats. He was more like a superior. Princess Rong Xian's heart was somewhat afraid. She did not know if she should tell Emperor Wen Hui about Xie Jingxing's identity. Even if he told them, nothing would happen. Since Xie Jingxing dared to come, then he must have made thorough preparations. But if one were to tell, at least the common people of Mingqi would know of Xie Jingxing's face and not talk about a young talent who died young all day long. Princess Rong Xian thought for a while, and images of her childhood surfaced in her mind. She did not go out all day and had little interaction with others, and even the maids did not allow them to enter the room at night. At that time, it was the Fuma Memorial Day, and she caught a cold. On the second day, she could not get up from the bed, and her body was strangely cold. Xie Jingxing, who was 5 years old, brought hot porridge from the small kitchen and fed it to her spoonful by spoonful. He even took a small stool and sat in front of her bed and read poems to her. Chapter 811. For such a beautiful little boy to do such a considerate action, as long as it was a female, no one would not be touched. Thinking about it, 10 years had passed in a blink of an eye. They were obviously not mother and son, but they were closer than mother and son. So how did they come to this stage? On one side was the country's enmity, and on the other side was several decades of companionship. Princess Rong Xian's heart suddenly became sad. What should be done? Princess Rong Xian did not know that these days the princess residence's every move was being watched, and it was not just one person. Because their princess residence did not interact with outsiders. Even the guards were somewhat lazy, and her every move was being monitored. In the residence of the Count of Pingnan, Su Minglang looked at the sugar-steamed cheese that the maid brought over and righteously refused. I do not want to eat. Bring it to eldest brother. Now Su Minglang had reached the age of loving beauty, and as compared to the plump and white dumpling, Su Minglang was more willing to be a cute little gentleman. Therefore, although these sweet things smelled very fragrant, he was determined not to touch them. Then he suddenly thought of something and called out to the maid, "Never mind. Do not bring it to eldest brother. If eldest brother were to marry older Shun in the future, how can older Shun dislike eldest brother for being a fatty?" The maid looked at Su Ming Lang's little adult appearance and was somewhat speechless as she held the plate and did not know what to do. When Su Ming Lang saw this, he gave a long sigh. "Since you are so difficult, then I will reluctantly eat it." He then fiercely warned the maid, "Do not tell mother that I snatched eldest brother's sugar-steamed cheese to eat." Maid, in the room, Su Ming Fong did not have the mood to eat any sugar-steamed cheese. He paced back and forth in the room with an anxious expression. Su Yu looked at him sympathetically and patted his shoulder. "Son, father knows that your heart is upset, but this imperial edict was personally given by His Majesty. Father is also helpless and can only say that your luck is not good and the young lady that you fancy is not fated with. But fortunately young Shan is going to marry Prince Rue and would have to go to the Great Liang. What the eyes do not see, the heart does not grieve. After some time, you will forget about her." Emperor Wen Hui had given the imperial edict, and Su Yu and Su Foren were most afraid that Su Ming Fong would not be able to bear this blow. After telling him tactfully, Su Ming Fong locked himself in the study. Su Foren was afraid that Su Ming Fong would commit suicide and specially let Su Yu go in to persuade him. "Father, can you not give me more trouble?" Su Ming Fong said impatiently. "I am not sad because of this." "Son, do you think I don't know what you're thinking?" Su Yu said, "It's a waste to be a playboy. I was your age as well. It's nothing. There are plenty of fish in the sea. You have to be more open-minded." Su Ming Fong could not bear it any longer and said, "All right. Father, I know. I want to be alone now and will not commit suicide. Can you let me be alone for a while?" Seeing that the usually gentle Su Ming Feng's face had started to show signs of displeasure, Su Yu was afraid that if he continued speaking, it would stimulate Su Ming Feng's fragile-hearted young male. So he smiled awkwardly. "In short, father will work hard to find a fairy-like young lady for you to be your wife. Do not be sad." He left dejectedly. After Father Su left, Su Ming Fong sat down in front of the desk, and his heart was inexplicably irritated. Emperor Wen Hui suddenly decreed a marriage for Shen Miao. This made Su Ming Fong very surprised. After all, a few days ago, Shan Miao and the Crown Prince had a relationship, so why was she together with Prince Rue today? Su Ming Fong did not have time to guess Emperor Wen Hui's thoughts as he was thinking about Shen Miao. Shen Miao and Xie Jingxing seemed to have a deep relationship 2 years ago and a few days ago because of the tiger head bracelet. Su Ming Fong was sure that Shen Miao and Xie Jingxing had a special relationship. Su Ming Fong even suspected that Xie Jingxing was still alive. If one wanted to find news of Xie Jingxing, one must pay attention to Shen Miao. But why did the matter of Shen Miao and Prince Rue's marriage make him so uneasy? It was as if something was about to come out and something was about to happen. This kind of strange premonition made Su Ming Feng's entire person abnormal today. Just as he was restless, someone came back from outside. This was the spy that Su Ming Feng sent out and was responsible for sending people to monitor the princess residence and the Shin Mansion. Su Ming Feng felt that Princess Rong Xin might know something and needless to say about Shen Miao. That spy bowed toward Su Ming Feng and said, "There is a way to investigate the matter that young master instructed this subordinate to investigate a few days ago." Su Ming Feng's heart was delighted and immediately sat up straight. "Quickly speak." This subordinate's people followed the guards of the princess residence and discovered that someone had been monitoring the movements of the residence of Prince Rue. If this subordinate guessed correctly, it should be Princess Rong Xian's instructions. There seemed to be a few people from the guards of the residence of Prince Rue lurking in the Shin Mansion. One do not know if they are monitoring or protecting fifth Shin young lady. Su Ming Feng's brows wrinkled. Why were they all Prince Rue? Princess Rong Xian was monitoring Prince Rue, and Prince Rue was monitoring Shen Miao, but he was obviously looking for clues about Xie Jingxing. Could it be? A terrifying thought flashed through his mind. Su Ming Feng's heart violently beat. Chapter 8:12. These few days the Shun family had fallen into a very strange mood. Because of Shun Miao's marriage bestowal imperial edict, everyone was filled with gloomy clouds. Even though everyone tried their best to show joy, at the end they could not hide the gloominess. Shun Xian and Luo Shueyin both left early and returned late every day. It seemed that they were looking for a way to dissolve this marriage, but they returned without any success. Thinking about it, since Emperor Wen Hui announced this imperial edict in front of all the civil and military officials, most likely it was to cut off Shun Xian's thoughts of defying the edict. A ruler does not joke, and words that were said were like water that was spilled. In the previous dynasty, there was a princess who fancied the top scorer, and at that time the top scorer already had a wife. Was it not because of the words a ruler does not joke that he divorced his wife and remarried? When Shun Xiu saw Shun Miao, he would always reveal a look of guilt. These days, he would frequently give Shun Miao some rare treasures and would only say, "Older brother does not have any ability and can only find these things for you." Shun Miao was speechless about the atmosphere in the Shun family. She naturally knew that the matter was not that bad, but these could not be said to the Shun family. If Shun Xian knew what Xie Jingxing's real motive was, one did not know how big of a fuss he would make. In Mingqi, she had to take care of the Shun family, and it was not convenient for her to do many things. If she was in the Great Liang, she could use Xie Jingxing's name to do many things, and it would be much easier. She looked relaxed, but others thought that she was pretending. Today, when she was sitting in the room reading, she saw Bai Lu rushing in. "Young lady, Foreign wants you to quickly go to the main hall. The people from the residence of Prince Rui have sent the list of betrothal gifts." Shun Miao was startled. Betrothal gifts list? Xie Jingxing was really daring to the extreme. He clearly knew that the Shun family did not like him and even hated him so much, but still dared to send the list of betrothal gifts over. If this was not adding oil to the fire, then what was it? But thinking of Xie Jingxing's unscrupulous character, it was indeed something that he would do. Upon reaching the main hall, one could see Luo Shueyin holding a long thing from afar, and beside Luo Shueyin, Shun Xiu and Shun Xian were also standing with their heads stretched out. Luo Tan was covering her mouth, and Luo Ling's gaze was complicated. In short, everyone's expression was very strange. When Shun Miao stepped into the room, she then discovered that other than the Shun family, there was another person standing in the room. When she saw that person's appearance clearly, Shun Miao almost choked on herself. This person was a middle-aged man with a face full of beard, and Shun Miao had seen him before. He seemed to be Xie Jingxing's bodyguard, and Song Yang also called him Tai. At a glance, one could tell that this person was a brave and mighty person. Today, he was wearing a bright red robe. The robe was embroidered with colorful phoenixes and auspicious clouds using thin golden peach silk threads. It was probably for the sake of a happy atmosphere. However, Tai Yi's skin was dark to begin with. Wearing this robe, his previous heroic aura was completely concealed, making him look extremely stupid. Seeing her, Tai Yi bowed to her and said in a serious tone, "Wang Fei." This time, even Shun Xiu could not help but cough. He glared at Tai. Do not call out randomly. Tai Yi simply did not care about him. Shun Miao inexplicably wanted to laugh. Was Xie Jingxing here to smash the scene? Even if it was a list of betrothal gifts, it should be found a joyous matron to read it. The residence of Prince Rui was so rich, and yet they had to let Tai Yi, such a big and burly man, to read it. This was purposely making others laugh. Seeing Shun Miao standing there in a daze, Luo Tan called out to her, "Biao, youngest sister, why are you standing there in a daze? Quickly come and look at this betrothal gift list." She winked at Shun Miao and seemed to be very excited. Shun Miao then walked over. That betrothal gift list was very exquisite. It was a long roll of fragrant wood that was sprinkled with gold powder, and the cover was inlaid with emerald green cat's eye stones. It was very luxurious. Even this betrothal gift list was not cheap. Even though Shun Xian and wife were not vain people, but Prince Rui's actions showed that he valued Shun Miao, and his complexion became better. Chapter 8:13. Luo Shuiyin handed the list of betrothal gifts to Tai Yi and said, "Read it." According to Ming Qi's custom, the list of betrothal gifts must be sung by the male side. The longer it was sung, the more generous the betrothal gifts and the more decent the female side would be. It was obvious that Tai was not used to doing this kind of thing as he flipped to the first page and dryly sang, "One Wangwali bed surrounded by begonia flowers, one Luohan bed with 3 screens, one Wangwali top cabinet, one Wangwali wood cabinet, one Nama bookcase, one Nama treasure cabinet, one pair of Kaupi red vase, one Wangwali Kong table, one pair of Wangwali gold coin cabinet." The first page was furniture, and everyone was dumbstruck when they heard it. So many things, even if it was placed in the current Shin mansion, it would not be able to fit. This was enough to place 3 residences. He heard Tai Yi sing again, "A rui made of agarwood inlaid with jade, a rui made of fine jade, a lamp made of tin foil, a small gold-plated clock, a silver pocket watch, a pot of green jade and emerald bamboo bonsai, a pot of silver-plated plum blossom bonsai, a plain tricolor 18 seed plate, a pot of powder enamel tea, a sigh of Chen's virginity wine, a bamboo and plum blossom double happiness hanging mirror, a splendor hanging screen." Every single item was worth a lot and would be able to exchange for a few years of an ordinary family's expenses. This Prince Rue came with such a large pile. Even if one had money, it would not be used like this. Luo Tan sniffed and somewhat timidly pulled Shun Miao's sleeves. "What does Prince Rue's family do? Are you a salt merchant?" Luo Shuiyin and Shun Xian also frowned. This Prince Rue's betrothal gifts were too generous. But without giving them time to be surprised, Tai Yi had already continued to sing. The third page was daily necessities. He sang 6 boxes of boxwood comb, 2 boxes of xiong and shu bamboo comb, 1 red sandalwood dressing box, mouthwash, sandalwood soap, curtain satin door curtains, glass bead door curtains, green water, 5 colored tassels, mandarin duck pillow, 8 beds and 8 covers. Everyone in the Shun family. Tai Yi continued to the 4th page of clothing. Big fur chi-style clothing, silver mouse skin, gray mouse skin, sheepskin, pearl fur, 12 sets of various cotton chi-style clothing. 32 sets of gauze clips, silk clips, satin clips, and cloth clips. Single shirt, spun silk, fox silk. There were 12 sets of cotton, silk, and chiffon printed gowns. 5 blessings holding longevity, phoenixes wearing peonies, 100 butterflies wearing flowers, 10,000 words unbuttoned clothes, 12 sets. 30 hides of fine silk, 6 bolts of scented cloud muslin, 20 bolts of woven brocade, 10 bolts of cloud brocade, 10 bolts of Sichuan brocade, and 12 bolts of silk yarn. 36 embroidered satin quilts, 20 pairs of embroidered shoes, 40 pairs of silk stockings. Luo Shuiyin couldn't help but ask, "This, little brother, could it be that you took the wrong betrothal gift list from Prince Rue? This is not right. How is this marrying a wife? This was Princess Shang's procession." "No, not even Princess Shang is so particular about it," Tai Yi said expressionlessly. "It will not happen. The residence of Prince Rue only has this list of betrothal gifts. Madam, please continue to listen." He sang the 5th page of gold and silver jewelry, 1 plate of coral pearls, gold foil pearls, beeswax pearls, agarwood pearls for pieces of green jade ornaments, for pieces of white jade ornaments, 2 pieces of crystal accessories, pearl bracelets, emerald bracelets, coral bracelets. He sang the 6th page of antique calligraphy and painting, 4 pairs of woven gold-colored porcelain vases, 1 pair of Lang Hong jade vases, 1 pair of Chung Hua colored vases, 1 Schwana blue glazed white plum vase. He sang the 7th page of 4 boxes of books, 1 box of 4 treasures of the study. He sang the 8th page of maids and servants and personal guards. He sang the 9th page of horses and vehicles. The 10th page of everyone in the Shan family. The more Tai Yi sang, the smoother he got, and the longer he sang, the more he sang. Compared to those old students in the Shaochun city, the lingering charm lingered in the air. Every sentence he sang made one feel as if they were seeing a large amount of shining silver. When he finished singing the last sentence, he subconsciously stopped and let out a long breath before closing the betrothal gift list. He then looked toward Shun Miao. Chapter 814. The property shops were not included in the list of gifts because they were all in Great Liang. Tai Yi smiled sincerely. Your Highness, if you convert all of them into gold and silver, it would be 10,000 pounds of gold. 5,000 jin of gold. Luo Tan almost fainted. Tai Yi continued. The bought residence of Prince Rui to the Shun Mansion and all the other residences in between are also included. Someone will send the land deeds over later. He respectfully handed the list of betrothal gifts to Luo Shuiyin and said, May Furen accept it. Luo Shuiyin did not accept it. Everyone in the room was dumbfounded. Luo Shuiyin did not dare to accept it. That was 10,000 jin of gold, and there was such a long list of betrothal gifts. Was their Shun family going to become the wealthiest family in Mingqi? Did Prince Rui really not move the Great Liang's treasury over? Was Prince Rui's brain sick? Shin Xian frowned. It was still Shin Xiu who reacted first. He hesitated and carefully probed. Does your emperor know about the list of betrothal gifts that Prince Rui wrote? Tai Yi was stunned. Then he thought of something and smiled. Your Majesty doesn't care much about worldly possessions. Moreover, it's not a big amount. Seeing the Shun family's shocked appearance, Tai Yi continued. In the Great Liang's imperial family, gold, silver, and pearls are like sand, stones, and fine soil, everywhere. Everyone was in awe. It seemed that the Great Liang was indeed rich, and the people were strong, rich to the point of overflowing with oil. Such a generous betrothal gift that could fill the Ming Qi's treasury in an instant. In their eyes, it was just like sand and stones. How rich was it? Tai Yi continued. But General Furen, please be assured that His Highness marrying Shin Young Lady is all according to the Great Liang imperial family's rights. Only then did Luo Shuiyin and Shun Xian wake up. Even though they were not lacking in gold and silver, they still paid special attention to Shun Miao's matter and followed etiquette. He also sighed that Shun Miao's betrothal gift was not even half as rich as the one that Emperor Wen Hui won from the Empress. If it was an ordinary official marrying a wife, they would naturally have to consider that they could not be more generous than the royal family. But Prince Rui was not a Ming Qi person, but a Great Liang person, so naturally there was no need to consider this layer. Even if it was richer than the imperial family would not say anything. As such, Shen Miao's betrothal gift should be the grandest since the founding of Ming Qi. Shun Xian and Luo Shuiyin finally had a trace of comfort in their hearts. No matter what, since the imperial edict could not be changed, Shen Miao was destined to marry Prince Rui. Marrying out in style was at least the lifelong wish of many young ladies, and it could be considered as a compensation for Shen Miao. Thinking of this, the bad feeling that the two of them had towards Prince Rui had dissipated by quite a bit. Even their attitude towards the bearded man in front of them was much more amiable. Luo Shuiyin asked, but why haven't they sent the Gung invitation over? Before the marriage, one would need to match the 8 characters of the 8 characters. But because Shun Yao's marriage was very special, it was Emperor Wen Hui who directly decreed the marriage. Thus this round was skipped. Tai Yi said, His Highness had already let a famous monk calculate his and Shun Young Lady's 8 characters, and they are a match made in heaven, companions who have cultivated for 500 years. Today, madam, please hand over the title card to me. His Highness title card will be sent along with the title deed. The other party's attitude was very sincere, as if no one could find fault with him no matter what. Luo Tan could not help but ask, when is the wedding date? In His Majesty's imperial edict, there was no specific time mentioned. Tai Yi smiled. The marriage invitation is already done. His Highness will return to the Great Liang after the end of the year, and on the day of returning to the Great Liang, he will marry Shin Young Lady. She will wear red makeup all the way until the Great Liang's capital city gates. That was equivalent to saying that from the Ming Qi's wedding, there would be gongs and drums all the way until they returned to the Great Liang. After completing all kinds of wedding ceremonies in Ming-Chi, it would be officially announced to the great Liang's people upon returning. It was as if Shun Miao was raised to a very high position to announce to the world that Shun Miao was Princess Rue's identity. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.